Hello there, and welcome to another insightful edition of the Evening Review. My name is Ogito Greg, and in studio with me this evening is Mr. Paulo Coelho. He's the spokesperson of the national oil company, Namcor. Welcome, Paulo.
Well, thank you for having me, Ogito. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Excellent, excellent. Just recently, the Namibia Oil and Gas Conference 2025 was officially launched.
Yes.
What can we expect from the conference this year?
Well, the theme for this year's conference is exploration into action, positioning Namibia as the next oil frontier. The theme just basically speaks about moving from exploring to action and implementation of actionable strategies. And we want to just move Namibia forward in terms of the energy mix and to position ourselves as a global energy player. And it's really going to be quite a nice event, and I'm excited for it.
Excellent. Since the conference was introduced about 3 years ago, I think this is the third year, has it grown?
It has grown significantly. The first one naturally laid a very solid foundation, and we've grown tremendously significantly over the past 2 years. This year you can expect over 1,000 delegates from 32 different countries. We have 71 different speakers, 42 different exhibition stands, and it's all centered around the same thing, just how we can propel the upstream oil and gas sector forward within Namibia.
Let us in on a little bit of the jargon that you guys use. When you talk about upstream, downstream, what are you talking about? How does it fit in?
So the oil and gas industry is divided into three. You focus on the upstream, the downstream, and the midstream. Your downstream is your retail sites, your retail where people can actually get the finished petroleum products. Midstream has to do with your logistics and transportation of the refined products. And your upstream is your exploration and development thereof. It's the appraisal wells, the campaign wells, where you have to find the hydrocarbons and then obviously dig and drill to get the hydrocarbons out of the ground, onshore or offshore.
Okay. And you mentioned a whole lot of delegates and speakers. What are some of the main topics that are going to be discussed?
The key topics we're discussing this year is, actionable strategies to move Namibia from an exploration hotspot to an actual energy player.
Okay.
We're tired of looking. We need to actually action and get the oil out the ground in basic terms. But we're going to be discussing a lot of investment strategies. We're going to be discussing a lot of infrastructure development, because Namibia needs significant development in terms of infrastructure, because we lack a lot of the basics required to get the oil and gas company off the ground. And these are initiatives we need to look at now before first oil, which is envisioned for 2030, 2029.
Okay.
We're going to be discussing local content policy and basically how gas production from the oil extraction will enter into the energy mix.
I see. You mentioned local content policy.
Yeah.
Is that one of the areas that ordinary Namibians should pay attention to?
Yes.
And other than that, why should ordinary Namibians care about the conference?
Well, not just the conference, just care about the oil and gas industry as a whole.
Yeah.
The local content policy is key to allow Namibian participation. We need to ensure that all Namibians benefit from our natural resources and from this industry. So local participation is key when operators come in or when other businesses want to open. We need to ensure that Namibians are at the forefront of this. And I always urge Namibians, the youth, entrepreneurs, anyone else, to upskill themselves, find out what are the basic standards that is required to service an oil and gas company, and then meet those requirements. I mean, it's not just the oil and gas industry itself, it's all the spin-offs around it, the opportunities that this creates in terms of security companies, logistics, catering, legal services, cleaning services. There's a lot of offshoot that will happen from the industry, and Namibia is set to undergo a significant socioeconomic transformation once we can get this industry off the ground and running profitably.
Most recently, I had the privilege to visit a drill rig which was visiting in Walvis Bay Harbor. And one of the things that I was told was that everybody there had certain certification,
Yes.
basic survival certification. So is it that kind of thing that we should have?
That and ISO standards, health and safety regulations. The oil and gas industry is very big on health and safety standards. So, I mean, your food needs to be done correctly, needs to be prepared correctly. You need certain certification, or else they won't even consider you. And it's a global standard. It's not just for the oil and gas company. It's something that if you're able to do it here, you're able to do it in any other country, which is something that Namibians need to just, come to the party in that sense.
And I guess they also demand that you must supply on time and
Absolutely.
as to specification.
Absolutely. Everything to spec, everything on time as per the contract that will be probably set up between you and the entities.
But then it's probably pretty hard for beginners or new companies to get in on the act. I mean, you probably need to show a track record, or how can you
Not
get around that?
necessarily. I mean, if you can actually provide the service and do the job that you're supposed to do at a cost-efficient manner and actually deliver what you promised you deliver on, then it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, okay. I understand it's going to be at Mercure
The
Hotel,
Mercure Hotel, correct?
which is just across from your headquarters.
Yes, correct.
And I heard that they said that there's a new hall. Does that mean that you're going to have more exhibition space?
Yes, we're going to have a lot more exhibition space. I think last year they had about 30. This year we're going to do about 42 exhibitors from all over the world that'll come here and just open dialogue so that we can drive the conversation forward on how best to manage the oil and gas industry and to move it forward for the beneficiation of Namibia.
Those exhibitions are very insightful and eye-opening, but are they accessible? I mean, can people afford to go there, or are there different packages?
That is one of the big things of the NOGC, is that the organizers have priced it moderately for the average Namibian to be able to afford to attend. It's not priced such as other events where you have to pay in US dollars. So we feel it's a fair price for Namibians to come and participate and just get involved.
And it's more than one day?
Yes, this will be taking place over 3 days in August.
Okay, no. Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Well, I expect Namcor will also have a stand there.
Absolutely.
And tell me, apart from informing Namibians about what's happening with the company, are there also opportunities for Namibian job seekers to join Namcor? Are you guys hiring?
At the moment, no. At the moment, there isn't capacity. But if we are going to hire in the near future, it will be in the upstream space specifically. We'll be looking at geoscientists, data analysts. Then you need your cybersecurity specialists. So there's a lot of requirements needed for an oil and gas company. But at the moment, I don't believe we're hiring. We're at capacity. But I mean, naturally, any company will grow as the country grows, and then we'll have to look at onboarding more people.
Okay. And who are your partners with the Oil and Gas Conference?
Well, we are partnered with the NIPDB, the Hans Seidel Foundation, and the Economic Association of Namibia.
The Economic Association of Namibia?
EAN, yes.
Okay. They were also there from the beginning?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is actually their initiative that we became a strategic partner to as the IOC of Namibia, or the NOC, the International National Oil Company.
IOC is International Oil Company and NOC is National
Oil Company. So we're currently the National Oil Company, but with the way we envision things, Namcor would like to position itself as an IOC. We would like to become a player in that space.
Okay.
Picture your Saudi Aramco.
Yeah.
And those kind of companies that are global, but yet, they operate out of Saudi.
Yes. Excellent. And in terms of the participants in the conference that have already verified that they're going to be there, does it include oil majors that are currently busy?
Current oil majors, Ministry of Mines and Energy, certain ministries from outside of the country. I think last year we had the Gambia there, and we signed an MOU with them. So you can expect to be in the room with the executives and top management of some of the major oil operators, the oil field operators and the oil majors.
Okay, that's very interesting. And I guess there will also be those discussions had there, like which have been in the news recently about possibilities of a refinery in Namibia. And all that kind. Do we have the technology? Do we have the technicians if we were to go that route?
I can't really speak to if Namibia has the technical capabilities. I believe we do. Namibia should. If not, we should prepare ourselves. But currently, it's a conversation to be had, because the refinery would really, really help boost the overall revenue of the country.
Yeah, if we could get the oil to land on our soil.
It will.
Okay. No, cool. I think that the conference, the National Oil and Gas Conference 2025, is definitely something to prepare yourself for.
Absolutely.
And to look forward for. You said it's happening in August?
In August, correct.
Okay. And to start saving up for those tickets, I guess there's a website that...
There is a website. You can visit Namibia Oil and Gas CONF.com. And all the information will be there.
Okay. So I advise us all to do that. We're going to take a short break in a minute, but we'll be right back to learn more about Namcor. Please stay with us on Evening Review. Welcome back to the Evening Review. My name is Ogito Greg, and in studio with me this evening I have Mr. Paulo Coelho. He's the spokesperson for Namcor, the national oil company here in Namibia. Paulo, can you tell us a bit more about Namcor's role?
Well, of course, Namcor's role is to ensure local participation in every single exploration block. Namcor holds equity and a 10% stake in every active exploration license onshore and offshore. And our key mandate is also to ensure supply for Namibia and just to make sure that Namibia is energy secure. So Namcor is essentially the national oil company, and we need to just ensure that our mandate aligns with strategic national objectives and national goals, and just to make sure that we have strategic oversight over the whole oil and gas industry.
Okay, very interesting. Earlier in our conversation, you did explain to us about upstream and downstream and midstream. Is Namcor involved in all of those different parts?
At the moment, Namcor is only involved in the upstream sector in terms of oil and gas exploration, production and development, and in the downstream space with our service stations that we opened. We currently have 19 active service stations across the country.
Excellent. I've been to some of those service stations, even recently in Swakopmund, and it was a very nice experience.
We're opening another one in Swakopmund on the 20th of this month, and we also operate the National Oil Storage Facility in Walvis Bay, and that is a bulk storage facility that holds diesel, petroleum and HFSO.
Heavy fuel.
Yes.
Okay.
Heavy sulfur.
How much leeway does that storage facility provide us?
We currently have a storage capacity of 75 million liters.
Okay.
And we have a 7-kilometer pipeline from our jetty to the national storage facility. So there's a tanker jetty that allows the boats to come in to berth, and then we can offload and load some product.
Excellent. Excellent. Tell us a bit more about that 10% that you mentioned in the active exploration.
So the 10% is free carry, which means that we don't have any financial implications during the exploration phase, which minimizes our risk and our financial risk, because to run an operation of an appraisal well, for example, exploration activity, it runs you anywhere from 1 to 10 million US dollars. It's not a cheap exercise, and essentially it's an expensive gamble, because you take seismic data and then you need to see where the hydrocarbons are, and then you need to drill, and then there's levels of complexity to it in terms of your depth. The one well is situated 3,200 meters below the Earth's surface, and then still below that. So it gives you a level of challenges. It becomes quite technical when you need to drill that deep and safely extract everything. Then you have your environmental considerations. So Namcor keeps 10% in all the blocks, so that we have strategic oversight of everything, to ensure that everything is done in a profitable way and environmentally friendly way, and to ensure national alignment. But that's free carry. And then the 10% is just something that we hold as the national oil storage, national oil company. What people also need to understand is that the government still makes a good 70% from the whole industry through royalties, taxes, rental fees, and those get paid by the oil operators, the majors, to the government to be able to operate here. So, I mean, that's why the FID is very important, the final investment decision. The oil companies need to come and see, okay, this well has 3 billion barrels of, this is an example, 3 billion barrels of oil in it. It's going to cost us, say, 100 million barrels to extract. Is it commercially viable? Yes, no. We'll make the final investment decision. Okay, yes, it's commercially viable. We can make a profit here. We will invest. Boom, and then that's how it starts. If it's not commercially viable, they'll move on to the next one and continue exploring.
I see. And you mentioned that the free carry is applicable during exploration. Does that mean that if we get to
the production phase, yes, then Namcor is liable for a cash call out.
Okay.
Yeah, which means then we have essentially skin in the game and have invested in the production, so that we're also liable to make profits once this gets sold or produced or refined. So,
but that investment that Namcor will have to make at that stage, does it get funded from the proceeds of having the 10% earlier on, or does it have to come out of national coffers?
No, it'll come out of our coffers. It will not come out of national coffers.
Okay. Okay, so it kind of pays for itself.
It's supposed to, yes. That is how we entered into these JV agreements, to ensure that we have minimal financial risk while they come and operate and explore on our shores.
I see. And to ensure that our resources benefit our people at the end and our government.
Yes. Okay. That is why the local content policy is of absolute importance.
Yes.
To make sure that all Namibians benefit from our resources.
Well, all Namibians who are in business, businessmen who are...
Well, all Namibians, because it will trickle down into the economy through education, through healthcare, through everything, because we also need to upgrade certain things within the country. If the oil majors are going to operate here, they'll need better hospitals, and then it'll all the economy will be stimulated, and I know it will trickle down into into the rest of the economy, into education, health. I'm excited to see what the future holds for Namibia.
I like your optimism. Tell us about recent highlights for Namcor.
Recent highlights include the Rhino Resources announcement. Right now, I think it's a nice, tight, close race between Rhino Resources and Gulp. And then Total look like they want to finally proceed with the Venus oil field development. It's an exciting time, and it's really just I'm like you said, very optimistic. I keep saying that if everything gets managed correctly, Windhoek can become the next Dubai.
Yeah,
Maybe it can be like the UAE.
About that Rhino Resources development, I saw an announcement from their partners, some overseas company, and I sent some questions to the local office, but they didn't give us any more information to be able to inform locals about. So if you don't mind, what happened? They did some exploration wells, or?
So with the Rhino Resources well, they successfully drilled 5,000 meter depth, and they got about 38 meters worth of hydrocarbon payout in very favorable conditions, which basically means there is a nice well that might not have too much water, too much gas. It has a lot of oil, and it seems like it's going to be a viable option. It's not too far offshore, which also limits your risk there. Okay. And I think it's just a very exciting time for them, because it seems like they are getting closer to first oil. Wow. Everyone projects first oil to be 2029, 2030. But if we can expedite some of this, Gulp and Rhino Resources could be the first to the party. And then, I mean, obviously, the quicker you can get the oil out, refined, and sell, the quicker you can make your money back.
Is Gulp and Rhino two separate?
Two separate, yes. Gulp Energy is from Portugal.
Yeah.
They have a license block with Namcor, us, and Custo.
Yeah.
Namcor, Custo, and Gulp. And then Rhino Resources, Namcor owns 10%, and then I believe it's Azul Energy and Rhino Resources. So they will need to decide then, now that they've done the appraisal well, they need to decide final investment decision, who will be the operator, the oil field operator, the rig operator, and who will extract, and then...
That's now for Rhino.
That's now for
Where's Gulp now?
Gulp is also offshore. Gulp is actually also sitting very pretty because they have a shallow reservoir, so it's not too deep.
Okay.
And they have light commercial oil, which means it doesn't require as much refining as heavy crude. So that means you already save some money in terms of the refining process, and you're quicker to get it to a usable product at the end of the day. So Gulp and Rhino Resources currently, it looks like a race.
A race. But Total Energies and the Venus well, is that one ahead at the moment?
Well, in terms of appraisal and exploration, yes, they are. But in terms of making a final investment decision, they're going to take some time because they would like to review their data a bit more meticulously.
I see. Just recently, they submitted their final application for environmental clearance.
Yes.
That's now Total Energies. Does that usually happen before the final investment decision?
Yes. So what usually happens is they do it prior to the entire operation, but then they resubmit it when they're moving over to a new area, just to make sure that everything is copacetic and everything is done right. Mm-hmm. Because Namibia is one of the only countries in the world that has the conservation of its environment built into the constitution.
Yes.
So it's very important that we extract these raw materials and these resources with the least amount of impact on the surrounding environment, because you need to leave it as pristine as you found it. And that's key for Namibia. We need to make sure that our ocean stays pristine. We have fish, we don't scare the fish away, because obviously our quotas are one of the biggest things that it's also one of our resources.
Yes, valuable resource.
Yeah, valuable. And we need to make sure that we don't leave any mess and there's no oil spillages. So it has to be done very, very carefully, and obviously in a way that will help us align with strategic objectives and national objectives in terms of making more profit, more revenue for the country, but also in a sense that the operator will still make some profit.
I see.
You're not in business to not be profitable.
Yeah, but generally oil operators, they make big money.
Technically, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And onshore, has there been any developments? I know that Recon was in the news early in the year.
Recon is still busy with their exploration phase. So I know they're drilling a lot of exploration holes, exploration wells up northeast in the Kavango East, the mighty Kavango. Yeah. And they're busy still with their onshore. There's a lot of potential there as well. Okay. So I haven't seen the latest figures and data, so I can't speak to it, but I know that they're also very optimistic.
And then for prospects for the rest of this year, what are you hoping for?
We're hoping for a lot more development in terms of oil field. We're hoping for a few more discoveries. We're hoping that Namibia can remain a key player in a key global player in the exploration world, and that more oil majors will come and we can attract more investment into the country, so that we can create it trickles. That's a trickle effect. It's a ripple effect. Sorry, ripple. So more oil majors will come. That means more money will get brought into the country, and then we can create more jobs, more opportunities, more everything. And I'm just, again, very optimistic, very excited to see where Namibia is going to be. And the Namibia we know now is not going to be the same in 10 years.
You think so?
I believe so, yes. Where we have to just, like we discussed the other day at the launch of the oil and gas conference, if we model it correctly after countries like the UAE, Norway, Qatar, and we learn from the pitfalls of Angola, Nigeria, Mozambique. We don't let the resource curse affect our nation. We manage it correctly. We do everything right to the book. We make sure that the money gets reinvested locally, and that we can basically build our country and grow it.
Yeah.
Namibia is it's Africa's best kept secret at this point in time, and it's such a beautiful country. I'm proud to be Namibian, and I mean, I'm not, as long as I'm in the oil and gas space, I'm going to make sure that I can do what I can to make sure that we drive it in the right direction.
Expand a little bit about that for us, the resource curse versus example that you made, like Norway, for instance. What are the two extremes that we've seen in history?
The two extremes are Norway and Angola. So Angola is technically, like with Sonangol and is their national oil operator, and there's still a lot of poverty, and they're still trying to explore, and they're reeling from the civil war still. I mean, it's legacy issues.
Yeah.
Norway has been in oil and gas, primarily in gas, since the 70s, and they've built it slowly over a number of years. They've implemented the Sovereign Wealth Fund, which now totals around 1.7 trillion US dollars, which essentially makes every Norwegian a millionaire by birth.
Okay.
I mean, that's money that trickles back into the country, and they can grow their economy. It's a stable political environment like Namibia. Angola is and Nigeria is, I don't know how to say this in a very diplomatic way, but I mean, you can see that it's ravished with poverty and high unemployment rates and starvation, malnutrition, things like that. Whereas Norway is not, because the money trickles down into the country and it's to the benefit of all the Norwegians. Whereas certain African countries, as we are aware, are subject to corruption, and the money goes to the elite few, or politicians, governments, or high-ranking officials within certain companies, and it doesn't impact the people in a positive way. And that's something that we're very passionate about, that this money needs to grow Namibia. Namibia needs to just be a shining example of how these resources should be managed in the country.
So it's all about what we do with the money, basically.
Yes, how we reinvest it, how we create opportunity in terms of job creation, especially for the youth. Education. We need more qualified Namibians. I'm just very excited, and I just know if we can avoid certain pitfalls of other countries, then
that's good.
Namibia is going to be.
Tell me a little bit. You'd expect that laws would determine or set the boundaries for what can be done.
Yeah.
Do we have the laws that we need? What's the framework that Namcor operates in?
I know that the framework is there, but they're still busy expanding on it, because obviously it's not going to be a very quick process. You need to make sure that you factor in all the variables. So I know that the local content policy is pretty much done. It just needs to get promulgated into Parliament, and the right laws are also in place to protect national resources and locals. So I think with the right people in place, I think we'll make sure that everything is conducted smoothly and fairly.
Another very interesting development that took place recently, we've got a new government and we've got a new president, our first female president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, and she made an announcement that oil and gas industry is now directly under her office.
Absolutely.
Have you, as Namcor, have you been called to State House yet?
Well, I know we're aware of what is going to happen. We haven't had the meeting as yet, but they still need to pronounce themselves. And it's something that we look forward to, because it comes with the benefits of national strategic alignment, maybe expedited decision making. We now know what they expect, what the president expects from us, and we're happy to serve, and we're excited. I think it also gives her a little bit more oversight to curb corruption and to make sure that we can manage this, just grow this child into a beautiful adult.
But you think it will be beneficial rather than hampering?
No, beneficial rather than detrimental. Because now we don't have, we're streamlining the bureaucratic processes. We're speaking directly to the decision makers. It's not going through ministries, and it's not going to be a long story. We speak directly to the heads of state, and she will give us her national alignment or what we need to, the objectives, and we will align towards that, and then we will obviously be guided by her, and we will also guide her in turn to explain the intricacies of the oil and gas industry. And again, very optimistic, very excited, and it's something I look forward to.
Okay, no, excellent. Just coming back to the Total Energies, there's a question that I'd like you to share your insight with our audience. They, in their environmental clearance application, they outline a strategy which involves digging 40 more wells, which is good for us, but then also they want to use a floating production ship.
FPSO, yes.
FPSO.
Yeah.
Is it better for us to do it that way than to hold out for a pipeline?
Yes, well, it's cheaper in the long run.
Okay.
A pipeline, you have to do a lot. It's a lot of piping that has to come from offshore, onshore. Then you have storage facilities, challenges in Namibia. So a floating production system just is a lot safer because you're not rigged in. So if there's any shift in the Earth's surface or a tidal wave, nothing will get damaged. It floats.
Okay.
So in the long run, the technology has obviously improved significantly, but it's a lot safer in the long run. It's also a lot cheaper than pipelining. I mean, if you're going to lay pipelining, you need to know that it's going to be a consistent well over a longer period of time. Then it'll make financial sense.
I see. Oh, thank you very much, Paulo.
You're very welcome.
I'm sure our viewers also enjoyed and really appreciated your insights. So thank you very much for being on Evening Review.
Thank you for having me, Ogeto. I look forward to more of these.
Excellent. And join us again. There'll be more Evening Reviews tomorrow evening. Good night.